Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, December 29th, 2021. And I got the date right. I'm so proud of myself. Listen, we're going to jump right in. I will do greetings after we have our update with our, it's her second time here, but I personally don't consider her a guest. I had a chance to talk to Dr. Bisola when I got my booster at City Hall, and really from her appearances in the media to her time here and talking with her, definitely consider her a sister in service and someone who is very blunt and real about some of the hesitation we have around the vaccination and disparities and inequity in healthcare, but also very real and experienced and a credible Black face in our community that's going to talk with us today about a few updates about COVID-19 and the vaccination, but mainly talking about home testing. I just watched some things on CNN, the YouTube link from the CDC around home testing is gone. And so thankful that we have someone here that is an expert. I'm not going to delay her time because she is busy and I only have her for a half an hour this morning. But Dr. Bisola, welcome back to Java with Jimmy in the morning. Good to see you. And as we always do first, I wanted to check in on you because you're doing a lot of hard work. You're embracing a lot of responsibility and just feeling who you are. You don't leave this at 5 o'clock. You know, so we always ask, how are you doing? And if you were to describe your mental health status in one word, what would that word be this morning?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me again. I really appreciate this opportunity. I think this is, a great platform to get the word out on a number of different fronts. To be honest with you, I think I'm a little tired, and I probably said that the first time, but I think we're all tired, especially, during the holidays. Usually I spend the holidays with, my mother and my siblings. And this holiday, we decided not to do that. We had some FaceTime, we had some Zooms, but the reality is that it wasn't the right time for us to gather as a family, and we wanted to keep our family safe. So we decided to stay in town. So that makes me feel, a little sad, but, I don't think that this is the way this is going to be forever. We're learning how to live with COVID, and we'll get past this and we'll get through this together.
That's one of the things before we go in the testing, I wanted to highlight that you said before was that we are in a different space with the vaccination. And we talked a lot about that before, definitely where there are opportunities to promote it. We'll put some information up about the clinic that's taking place this evening.
Right.
But just there is, and you oversee, the department that oversees trauma, and our community is dealing with a lot. And so if you could just 30 seconds, just talk about, we are in a different place than we were last year with being boosted, vaccinated, getting tested, and wearing our masks. Those are the four components of sort of this global campaign, but Boston has been very assertive. And so just, can you just talk about the difference between last year and this year so it can ease, while we still should be concerned, there's a balance. You know what I'm trying to go. There is a balance, and you've been very well at naming that.
Right. And I believe there is a balance. vaccination rate citywide is about 69%. So we have a way to go, but this is good compared to other cities. We're doing quite well. In terms of boosters, a little over a third of Bostonians have been boosted. We need to increase those rates. But the reality is, I think people are aware, and I've noticed in my conversations with community members, aware on a different level than I've ever experienced as a physician who's worked in communities, particularly in communities of color. They're asking the right scientific questions. They want to know about their risk. And I think that's a major change from pre-COVID. And it's a major change in the right direction. I would say, though, that, I want us to all be vigilant right now, to be mindful of the fact that our positivity rate in our city is 9.5%. That's the highest that it's been since COVID-19 testing has really become widely available. So that is the case out there. We know we are dealing with this new variant, this Omicron variant. And I know that you've been talking about this on your show, and it's been wonderful that people, are aware of it, but we know that it's highly transmissible, and we don't know enough about it yet. We're still, dealing with some gray area, and the researchers and the public health experts are really trying to gather information. So, we want to be careful, and we want to use the multi-layered strategy that you're talking about, the vaccination, the boosting, the masking indoors, hand washing, continuing to think about physical distancing, and rapid antigen testing, home testing, as well as other standing testing methodology. So I think those are the things that we want to impress upon people, that we want people to pay attention to going forward.
Dr. Bisola, that is one of the main things. I'm not used to putting stuff. Okay, there we go. I think I got it right on the screen, and we're talking about this, and you're very real. That's one of the things that I think that people enjoy about you, and perpetuate your credibility in Black communities. Let's just keep it 100. CNN is reporting that there's a little bit of concerns with the home testing. I reached out and talked with you about how we can just have a conversation with the community about the home test. So I have the home test here. Mm-hmm. I wanted to shout out some of your staff. They were giving these out at the memorial last night. These are available in great abundance, and the city has worked well to give those out. We're working with other folks to try to have them. I'm actually going to set up something where folks can text or call, and they could just meet me on Norfolk Street. You know what I mean? Just to make them available. So what would you say about the test? How important it is a strategy. Mm-hmm. It is a strategy. Mm-hmm. Let's just be 100. They are not perfect. Mm-hmm. And you were very, the CDC and others are honest about that. And so what would you say about the home testing? Why is it so important that you made these available? And then what is the impact of using these properly as well?
So I want to start by saying that these rapid antigen home testing kits are an important mitigation strategy, just as like I outlined in terms of this multi-layered approach that we're doing to decrease risk and transmission of COVID-19. But the reason why we are emphasizing this strategy within the commission is because it's not a strategy that all of us are utilizing, because they're prior to this past week and prior to efforts that are now moving forward, they weren't free. We're talking about test kits that you had to spend, $25, $30 for, that everybody doesn't feel that they have. And on top of that, not everyone feels comfortable utilizing, medical technology in their own home. That's just not something that everybody is used to or comfortable with. And I think, you said I keep it 100. I'm going to keep it 100 and say that this isn't the norm for everybody. So what we wanted to do is make this normalized. We wanted to get as many test kits out there as possible in an equitable way, so that other people who may not be on social media talking about, I got my rapid antigen test kit, may also feel that they too can protect themselves and get their rapid antigen test kit. So I think that was our main purpose with our approach in terms of getting the test kits out there. So over the course of about 3 or 4 days last week, we ended up distributing over 180,000 rapid test kits to residents throughout Boston. So the way that we approached this is we focused in on speed. So we wanted to get them to people as quickly as possible, particularly like before the Christmas holiday, equity, and then impact. So we utilized Boston Public Schools, and we sent them a large supply of test kits. We gave them to the Boston Public Library branches, as many as possible. We tried to replenish supply, and we also sent them to the BCYF community centers. So you can tell the way that we did this, we wanted to make this equitable. We wanted to make it so everybody could access them. And the reality is that they went fast. We have a few test kits that are remaining, but the reality is that those are going to some of our community-based partners who are then putting them in high-need communities, which is where they need to be. So I think that was our approach, and that's what's happening. Right now, what we're trying to do is to advocate with the state, as well as learn more about the federal plan, about getting more free test kits into the most vulnerable communities and making them widely available to everyone. Because right now, it's hard to get them in the stores because, there's been a lot of bulk buying and whatnot to get them to people. So it is a challenge, but certainly we're working to increase capacity not only of the rapid antigen test kits, but also to standing testing sites.
Dr. B, thank you. And in the realm of realness, one, you all have been very aggressive in getting these out there a little more. The feds have been a little critiqued about not being ready, but Boston had seemed like it was ready right before Christmas. And so this was a part of the testing. And while we're here a little bit, because this is an organic space, but we also want to name that, and I'm a little bit of alarmist when I see numbers. It's very real that our positivity rate is at the high 9. But over the next couple of weeks, because more people are being, and this has been a point during COVID, because more people are being tested, we're going to have more positive cases, which means that, those that are positive, the numbers are going to go up because more people are being tested. And if they're positive, they contribute to a high number. So we just wanted to name that because, again, sometimes I get alarmed when I see numbers. So just to go back to the home test, again, you keep it 100. They're not a perfect science. Once the fact that you have non-medical staff, working with these. And so are there concerns that you heard of? Is there any advice that you would give when actually getting ready to use this test?
Okay. So I think that's an important question. And I think, there are questions that people have, and I appreciate this opportunity to answer them. First, I want to say that there are two types of what we call diagnostic tests that can detect if you have COVID-19. So there's the rapid antigen tests, and then there's PCR molecular testing. So be aware of that. And let me tell you the difference. So with a rapid antigen test, it's basically detecting proteins from the virus that cause COVID-19. With a PCR test, or the molecular test, or polymerase chain reaction test, because I know a lot of us are looking at the science. They want to understand exactly what I'm talking about. That test detects genetic material that's very specific to the virus that causes COVID-19. Because of the specificity of the PCR test and the fact that it's detecting genetic material, it is more sensitive, more accurate. That's sort of the word that we can use here. And a rapid antigen test is less. But there are many advantages to the rapid antigen test. First of all, it's fast. You get your results in approximately 15 minutes versus days for the PCR or molecular testing. If you're getting your tests quickly, then obviously you can start your contact tracing. You can let people know, hey, I was at dinner with you guys a day ago. I'm now positive. Please get tested. And that's going to help to prevent disease spread. And certainly you can isolate yourself sooner. The reality is that it is highly reliable for telling you if you are symptomatic. So in essence, it's more accurate if you are currently having symptoms of COVID-19, and somewhat less accurate in the setting of you being asymptomatic per se. So to offset that, what we suggest is that you take multiple tests. So in that test kit that you just showed, you should have 2 test kits, right? You should have 2 tests.
We're going to open it right here, right now.
Okay. So I'll stop there and I'll let you open it.
Go ahead, Dr. B.
Okay. So basically, since we know that there's this decreased sensitivity, what we recommend is doing serial tests or taking multiple tests over several days. And that would be, at least 24 hours apart, particularly if you're thinking to yourself, hey, I want to go to my New Year's Eve celebration. So, 24, 48 hours in advance of that, you take one of these tests. It may be negative, but that's not perfect. No science is perfect. So then, within an hour, close to when you were planning on leaving, you want to take another one. And if that's negative, that is a good indication, again, nothing's perfect, but that's a good indication that you are not infectious and there's nobody there who is going to contract COVID-19 from you. And again, not perfect, but I think it provides some, sense of comfort in the result.
Dr. B, one of the things that, and I think for us, because we move in this space, it's a given for us, but we have not named a major factor in this thing, which is being vaccinated and boosted. You talked about being symptomatic, and if you're symptomatic, and you have a positive test, there is more reliability on that one. I believe some of the science that I've heard is if you're symptomatic, you're unsure about your home test. And if I remember right, just in the past few minutes, there is encouragement to go get a PCR test, correct?
Absolutely. So I didn't say that, but I definitely think that if you are symptomatic, so you're experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 and you have a negative rapid test, certainly you want to reach out to your healthcare provider or get the PCR or molecular test because it is more sensitive. And therefore that would confirm that, you actually have COVID-19. So there are a number of strategies. I do want to highlight, though, that if you are asymptomatic, please use the 2 test kits. If you are symptomatic, please do the PCR test, but also reach out to your healthcare provider because there are other things that could be causing you to have these symptoms. Certainly, we're in the middle of flu season, right? And that can be very severe. It can cause very similar symptoms. So please be aware of that. There are other viruses out there. There are other things, other illnesses that can cause you to not feel well. So keep that in mind.
Dr. Bisola, one of the things that was very interesting to me when I heard the state, and I'll just say you're a municipal representative, so I'm not going to go too deep, but the state is not requiring, if I understand right, they're not requiring people to report that they are positive. So essentially, in layman's terms, are we leaving it up? You kind of mentioned and talked a little bit about contact tracing, what we call that. So is it being left up to the honor system? As far as if you test positive, you got to think back. I'll be very transparent. We had an event a couple of weeks ago. Thank God it resulted in a false positive. But I went through a practice of informing the attendees, sending out an email, so it is. I just want to talk about that for a second because we still have not, there is a stigma still to if you're positive. And I just wanted to talk about how important it is that if you test positive, either at home, it is, and there's been some changes in the CDC advisement. I'll frame it like that. And so can we just talk a little bit about post testing, the honor system, and then also you did one of the major things you said was reach out to your doctor.
Exactly. And that's what I would emphasize if you have a positive test. Reach out to your healthcare provider. I hope that most of us have a healthcare provider. Irrespective if you're symptomatic or asymptomatic, reach out to your healthcare provider. It's highly likely, and we would like you to get a PCR test, okay? Because that would be the definitive, understanding of what's going on there. And we could also use that to look for variants because we can do, the genomic type analysis that would be relevant for us to, do that surveillance across our city and across our state. So yes, reach out to your healthcare provider. I think that the other piece that I want to say is that it is important that we decrease stigma in relationship to being positive for anything. I mean, right. Yes. So, there's a lot of stigma out there. Most of my work prior to, coming to the commission was related to HIV. And I think that stigmatizing people for having any infection is extremely problematic. And all it does is limit our ability to communicate about these things, to learn about it, to educate ourselves. So I want us to do some focused work on that, even amongst our family members. Just talk about it. Just talk about, your positive rapid antigen test. And let's learn more from each other about what's going on within our communities and around our city.
Dr. Bisola, I know your time is short, and shout out to John and your team there because we know you have a hard stop. You did mention New Year's Eve. And there's a variation of strategies to mitigate spread. Wherewith you can, any advisement that and you did just sort of cover it on an individual level. But we need to be very aware this coming Friday in reference to, Christmas is a family time, you're kind of eating and whatnot, and you'll understand this. New Year's Eve tends to be a little bit more of a turn up. And so very serious matter here. But what is it that you would say to folks that are, you know, continuing with plans that may be in spaces where, you know, the things we're advising around mask, not knowing everybody's status, not knowing if everyone knows their status either by this or PCR. What is the advice that you would give to the community in reference to New Year's Eve?
So this is really important, and I think everything you said is you know, weighing heavily on my mind. I think I want people to enjoy their holidays. I mean, I think we're social as human beings, so I think it's important that we have this time to spend with family and friends. The reality is, though, we're dealing with, you know, a surge and a highly transmissible variant. So we want people to be mindful and continue indoor masking, particularly if the group of people who you're with are not being tested immediately prior to entering, you know, whatever it is type of gathering you're going to. So indoor masking is obviously really important. First and foremost, though, I would say, you know, if you don't know the vaccination of the status of people at your event, certainly, again, indoor masking. If you have access to rapid antigen testing, I think that's going to be key. You know, realizing that your event needs to be scaled down, and preferably, you know, if you are going to first night, there are outdoor events. So sticking to events where there's good airflow, good circulation, outdoor events is really important. And I think one of the main things I want to tell people, and this is what I tell people, my own staff, everyone around me, is that if you're not feeling well, stay home. Okay. And that's the thing, is that we're not used to that. Even though, you know, we've been in this COVID situation for a long time, you think years past, people come to work with the sniffles, people interact with people, you know, with upper respiratory symptoms. If you're not feeling well, you should be staying home, because even if you're in an outdoor space and it's a crowded outdoor space, you could be transmitting virus. So keeping all of that in mind, these multi-layered prevention strategies, certainly, as I said, on an individual level, we all want to get vaccinated and boosted. We all want to wear our masks indoors. We want to be washing our hands. We want to be thinking about physical distancing. And again, emphasis on this. If you're not feeling well on, you know, New Year's Eve, please get yourself, you know, get yourself tested, call your provider, do whatever you need to do, but don't come to the gathering.
Thank you. And I saw your face there with all due. I'll just say that y'all saw that. And if we say in Black and brown communities, Auntie B, that face, if you're not feeling, and that's something that there's some messaging here, Dr. B, that I found myself struggling because I was saying it last year. And I thought that we got away. And again, thank you for raising a difference. We have the vaccination. And I want to credit the fact that when you were last year, we were at a 67% rate of vaccination. You just named 69. So where there's improvement, let's name it. I know you would like it to be 89 and 90. Right. But, you know, let's name improvement for you as well. I did have one quick question, and then we're going to go and talk about what's available this evening. And this is my mother. And so I definitely have to ask this question. She wants to know, how do you know if you're positive according to the test? My understanding is that there will be 2 lines that highlight. Exactly. And I'll be honest, my family member and I were she sent me a picture of her test last night. And there was a little bit of ambiguity because the one on the left was purple. And then the one on the right, you could see the line there, but it wasn't colored. And so I think that's a good example. But again, you kind of covered, there may be some ambiguity, you know, in the test. Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
You know, I would, if there's any ambiguity, you know, indeterminate tests are rare, but that does happen. Take another test. You know, you have 2 in the test kit. So take another test. Make sure you're following the instructions. Make sure you're getting a good sample. When you go to swab, you know, you're going in about 3/4 the way into the front of your both nostrils. You're swirling around about 5 times, and then you're putting it into whatever the, you know, depending on the kit, you know, whatever the vessel is that they're giving you. And then you're waiting your 15 minutes. So just take another test. And if there's still ambiguity, then please reach out. You can get a PCR test. We have sites that are available around the city in order to get PCR testing. So please keep that in mind as an option. In terms of free walk-in testing around the city, we have Anna Cole Community Center in JP, Bodwin Street in Dorchester, Dot House also in Dorchester, Prince Hall Grand Lodge, also in Dorchester, and Tufts Medical Center. In addition, there are other there are other places to go. So don't feel like there's not options. If you're concerned about this rapid antigen home test, then please reach out. You can visit boston.gov for more information, and that's okay if you don't feel comfortable going online, but please reach out to the mayor's health line, 617-534-5050 for more information.
And also, Dr. B, before we let you go, we definitely want to, there's one thing I want you to address, because we still have interesting information out here on the internet, but we do want to make sure that you all know that this evening there is a site that will be open and available to get your vaccination and booster. You can go to the Boston Center for Youth and Families, the Tobin Community Center, 1483 Tremont Street, Boston, Mass. 02120. That's this evening from 5 to 8:30 p.m. There is an appointment. You are encouraged to make an appointment at this address or this link here. Let me get it up. I thought I had everything together. You can go to Bitly. Y'all know we use Bitly a lot in the Java Cafe. Bitly, and it's case sensitive. All right. Bitly /VACCINATE BOS, where you can go and make an appointment. Walk-ins are available. However, let's try to, because we know that our medical staff has been heavily impacted. Let's try to give them a sense of who's coming. You don't have to, but we're asking you to register so they know when they're getting a big amount. Are you going right after work? Is there a lunch, crowd coming in? And so please go and check out this link in order to register. You can walk in. We're asking you to register. The last thing I'll ask you about, Dr. B, is that there's a lot of stuff still going on the internet, and I'll just say I can't find the comment, but are you aware of any danger with children wearing masks? I think the mandate right now is 2 and over. And are you aware of anything about? I know some of this stuff about
kids
in school and but I did see a comment here, and this is a sincere sister, so I want to make sure that
I understand that people always have questions, and there's nothing wrong with asking.
Yes.
I myself, I think I shared with you all last time, I have a 5-year-old. She's been wearing a mask throughout this pandemic at daycare, every single day. I would find some well-fitting masks, some comfortable masks, try out a few. I know it can be cost prohibitive in some senses, but if you just pick up some, some of the surgical masks that are that are the size for kids, try them out on your child. You can try out other types that, as long as they're high quality masks, I would definitely do that. And there shouldn't be a problem with that in terms of any sorts of health outcomes. Okay,
just want to make sure. And then one other thing, and we'll let you go, Dr. B, is if you can find the mask where they have maybe their characters on them. I don't want to promote a cartoon character or something. They might be more likely to keep it on. The last thing is, one of the partners, and this is evident, Dee Dee's Cry worked with the Health Commission to give out tests. I believe it was this past weekend. And so they're waiting to get more. And as Dr. B said, they're waiting on the state and the feds, to get an update on when they'll get more. But Dr. B, thank you so much. I look forward to working with you more. Shout out to the team there. And again, thank you for all that you and your team are doing to sacrifice in your time to ensure that we stay a healthy Boston as much as possible. And the last thing I'll say is I got to see one of your trauma teams in action last night at the Pringle Memorial. And to see from fussing in 2016 to see what it's evolved into, shout out to the neighborhood response team and JRI that works closely with you. Great. That did an awesome job last night. So Dr. B, thank you. Any closing words before you go?
My closing would be just that we are at a different place than we were last year. We have vaccination, which is highly effective, particularly against preventing severe disease and hospitalization. Please, I know that, there are concerns that people still have. I talk to people almost every day about their concerns. Continue to ask questions, but also really, let's move forward together. Let's go ahead and get vaccinated, and let's get our booster shot, which is incredibly important. Also, if you're 6 months out from Pfizer or Moderna, or 2 months out from J&J, please get boosted. This is about, protecting not only yourself, but protecting your family and protecting our communities.
Dr. B, thank you so much. And we will talk very, very soon. Please try to incorporate some sort of self-care by next year.
Right.
We try to incorporate some self-care, and thank you so much. And again, John and everybody at the commission there, thank you for all you're doing to make this happen. And Dr. B, the platform is available. We'll be posting the flyer and sharing the link as well. Thank you, Dr. B.
And thank you for everything that you do. You're outstanding. I love this platform.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Dr. B.
Take care.
Have a wonderful day, and Happy New Year to you, and Happy Kwanzaa.
You too. Absolutely. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy New Year. You take care.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye. That was our Dr. Bisola Ojikutu. And it's funny because I got confident and could say it when she's not on screen, but I'm scared to say it on screen because I don't want to mess it up. But it is so important that we read the directions. Dr. Bisola did admit that this isn't a perfect science. We're not medical technologists doing this. I'll make a little light joke. Some of y'all are used to doing it. No, I'm messing. But I looked at the test and I'm like, oh, this looks a little familiar. But no, in all seriousness, as you know, we kind of joke to get through serious things. Read the directions and go back if you need to. If you're just tuning in, go back and watch what Dr. Bisola talked about in reference to the testing. To Toy, they're waiting to hear if they're going to get, when they're going to get more tests from the state and the feds as well. And so they are available. Again, shout out to the Health Commission that had a whole lot. They had some on the table. They had some on in a trash bag, giving them out at the memorial last night. So thank you all for tuning in today. We will be back tomorrow, which is Thursday, the 30th. Back for Thankful Thursday. And so get your thankfulness ready in reference to 2021. I might take phone calls tomorrow and have people call in and talk about thankfulness. Props, who's on, and also Newt yesterday talked to me. And you all mentioned that, coming together on New Year's Eve, I'm strongly leaning at looking at an 11:45 to like 12:05, 12:10 coming in together in the Java Cafe, because I know a lot of people are going to, kind of remain at home. And for me, that's my downtime, me and Jesus time. But if there's a need for us to gather as a community for a sense of communal feeling and bringing in this new year, since we've been so isolated the past couple of years, I'm definitely down to do that. So Pastor Marion is saying one other thing, and then we're going to wrap up. My challenge to my friend who says she works in the medical field is pushing the claim that it's more dangerous for children to wear a mask. Theory was, instead of protesting, come up with this. I love Pastor Marion, but she could be spiritually shady. She's sanctified shady. Thank you, Jesus. But no, I mean, yeah, let's put the energy in remedies. Thank you all for tuning in today. We will see you tomorrow morning. And Auntie Java said, please stress to contact doctor if positive. And that is definitely important. So Auntie, thank you for doing that. If you test positive, if there's a question about you being positive, reach out to your doctor. All right, that's it for me today, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Peace, everybody. Have a wonderful hump day here today on Wednesday.